All right, everyone, link in the description because China's social media, social credit score system has been now more or less fully implemented. And get this, if you are blacklisted by the communist government of China, in terms of being a citizen of China, they will prevent you from getting on a train or a plane, from leaving the country, from taking out certain loans or issuing bonds, and doing all sorts of other things. And it's dystopia, and you read the write-up and you're like, oh my god, what a crazy country. But then I was thinking to myself, don't we basically have the same fucking shit here? Yeah, exactly. It's just privatized. I see no fundamental difference. The end result is no different whether you're in, like, communist China, everything's handled at the government level. The government says you can't have a loan. You can't buy this car because you're not trustworthy for some reason. You have the wrong views, and so we might end up having to throw you in jail, so we're not comfy with issuing you this loan. Because if you end up in jail, you're not going to pay it back. I think it's basically economic, not ideological, when you really think about it. It's actually the Chinese government reacting defensively to its own authoritarianism in an economic context, to the tune of probably hundreds of billions of dollars a year worth in potential lost revenue, because the Chinese government will throw you in a gulag for questioning Mao Zedong or whatever. That's a joke, but, you know, for questioning Xi Jinping. And so it's really an economic system, but we have the same thing here. The end result is the same as deplatforming here. In the modern era, because of the nature of human communication, of banking, of merchandising, branding, everything else being so online heavy, if you are blacklisted by Silicon Valley, like InfoWars was, or by like some of these others, you stop existing. Your ability to engage in commerce is severely restricted. These people aren't incapable of banking in China. They're just incapable of getting certain loans or taking a trip to certain places, doing certain types of commerce. Let's say that you're in the travel industry in China. You're expected to go to meetings in Vietnam and Singapore and stuff. You have to do that for your business, but you get blacklisted because, whoops, 2 years ago you made a post that was critical of Xi or something like that. You can't do your job anymore. You're no longer capable of that. You're gonna get downgraded to a desk employee or something like that. You don't get the corporate office at that point. You go from making you know, the equivalent of $500,000 a year to making, you know, tuppence. That's what happens. That's also what's happened here. Look at what happened to Gavin. He's been basically depersoned on most of the internet. He's allowed to use the internet. He can browse YouTube. He just can't, you know, well, he wasn't banned on YouTube. Okay, so he can browse Facebook, but he can't have a fan page and get bullseyed off by Zuckerberg in days. He can go on Twitter, but he can't interact with anything, including interacting with public utilities, like, you know, you've got NOAA and USGS and stuff. No, he doesn't have an account. He can't set up for USGS alerts. I guess he's dead the next earthquake now. How sad. It can even be a public safety issue. And certainly with regards to, the police put out alerts like, hey, you know, you get a text alert or some bullshit. It's like, hey, there's an axe murderer running around your neighborhood. Stay inside and, you know, grab the kitchen knife, I guess, if you're no guns. You can't do that anymore. It's a lack of convenience. And it's the same thing. These people aren't getting thrown in a gulag for questioning communism. They're just not able to get that car loan. They're just not able to travel to Hanoi to see Trump and Kim Jong-un and maybe shake their hands, and then get, you know, like sarin assassination like that other person there, that other defector. No, it's basically the same thing. The social credit score that you see in China is largely based on what Silicon Valley has been doing. It's like they're like, well, you know, we're afraid that these tech firms or the U.S. government will do stuff like this. They already do. And the U.S. government is joined at the hip with Silicon Valley. These are some of the most monumentally rich corporations in the world. They make enormous numbers of political donations to the tune of tens or hundreds of millions of dollars a year apiece to our political system. They should be considered, if not public utilities, at least properly understood to be restrained by the First and Fourth Amendments for the most topical reasons. And it should be absolutely a violation of anti-discrimination legislation for a Silicon Valley firm to prevent someone from banking. And now we've got the banking system itself is now involved as well. How is this any different? Okay, so in the U.S., you've got the wrong opinion. You're a white nationalist or a black nationalist or, you know, you traditional marriageist or something. Okay, you've got the wrong views. You're too religious. You're not religious enough. You're too black. You're too white. You're too tall. You're too short. Whatever the fuck in vogue discrimination happens to culturally exist and be fashionable among lefties at the time. You fit into some of those groups. So they say, well, you know, in the United States, the Constitution protects the right to speech, but it doesn't protect your right to use any of the sites that you'd use to speak. Yeah, you can engage in commerce, but you can't force a bank to give you a credit line or an account or anything. You shouldn't be able to file I mean, it gets to the point where, you know, every major bank and Silicon Valley firm depersons you and won't do business with you because of outrage mobs, because of moralism, because of modern-day McCarthyist-style fucking witch hunt or satanic panic, which is now being mentioned by more and more people. That I see people like totally lamestream pundits, all of a sudden they know the satanic panic is a thing. Or they remember the Red Scare. Some of them are old enough to do that, by the way. It's exactly the same thing. And we've gone through this before. Look, back during the 50s and 60s. Oh, this person's too far left. They're a communist. Well, we better follow them around. Make sure to keep an eye on them. All of a sudden, their job, you know, forces them to quit. Oh, you're going to resign from your job. Wait, what? No, you're going to resign, you fucking commie. I wonder who told them you were a commie. Who exactly told them that? Probably someone corporate that didn't like you. Why, I would like that office desk over there. You've got a corner seat and I want it. Oh, well, you voted Democrat. I'm going to call you a socialist or something. Get that fucking pinko out of here. Why isn't he the night janitor? Stuff like this has already happened in U.S. history before. Are we so special and so wonderful and libertarian that we don't have a pockmarked history when it comes to actually enforcing the ideal of liberty? What we should do is have a totally hands-off situation. There should be no censorship in the United States of any kind. It's anathema to the very founding of this country. In China, it's like, well, it's more normal. No, it's just more centralized. Here, it's like, okay, you can be abused by private entities. The founding fathers wouldn't have had any problem with the idea that there would be a monopoly on the construction of presses and that you could be prevented from using it. Not by the government, but just by a handful of people who happen to own all the presses. Oh, we're going to loan you the press, but not you. You say things that are critical of the dude I donate money to, his political campaign. You can't use this press. Oh, how wonderful that would have been. I'm sure Benjamin Franklin would have found that totally enlightening. No, I don't think that he would. So yeah, we have a social credit system. It's just not government administered. It's government co-opted, intervened in, but basically it's handled by a half a dozen fucking corporate entities. A couple of big banks, 3 major Silicon Valley firms, you know, the gatekeepers of the internet, basically. Apple. If Apple and Microsoft and Google and Twitter don't like you, you basically stop existing for many intents and purposes. Amazon and a few others. There's like a dozen firms altogether control 99% of the fucking internet in some way or form. And they put pressure on everyone else through the ad system, through the app stores, and everything else that they've monopolized. It is a total monopoly. Or duopoly in some cases. Google and Apple each have like 50% of the app budget, and then everyone else is like 0.5% or something. That's about all. Peace out.